Says planning jurisdiction changes. Act number 2021-297 of the legislature was passed last year, well, 2021 it says. And that's the act that deals with planning and police jurisdiction. I know you all are probably aware of that, but there's some automatic changes in that act that are about to take place, or they're going to happen at the end of the year, or the beginning of next year. And the one that I, or the road department is concerned with has to do with planning jurisdiction. And so the main thing I think is the planning jurisdiction is going to decrease in size from 3 miles to 1.5 miles. So right now it's 3 miles outside of city limits. It's going to decrease automatically to 1.5 miles. I think to keep it at 3 miles would take a local act to the legislature, but it can be reduced from that. But the way I read the act.
Let me ask you a question. So I thought it extended now a little further than police jurisdiction. And it was coming to the police jurisdiction lines is where it had to stop.
That may happen in some counties where it is. I mean, this law is statewide, so I think probably it's different in some counties. But here, we have an agreement with the city, and it's 3 miles. And I don't know.
So they're even, today you're saying in Pike County it's even with the police jurisdiction?
As far as I know, I don't know much about police jurisdiction. We don't deal with that, but
At least it's 3 miles outside.
the planning jurisdiction is the same right now. But anyway, all I was going to say is that I think, as far as I know, it's going to automatically be reduced on January 1st. And then I think if we want to keep going like we are, which is, the planning in the PD is up to the city planning commission. They kind of control that. We want to keep it that way. The way I read it is that we would need an agreement between county commission, city council, and the planning commission as well. So I've reached out to county attorney to get him to read through it and help me, make sense of it and make sure that I'm reading it correctly before I actually come to y'all with any kind of recommendations. But just wanted to get it on your radar, go ahead and get it on the agenda. And so Al and I will be discussing it, I guess, when he has time to read over it. And we'll come back to you with recommendations.
So I went back and read, not the bill, but the breakdown of ACCA, and it said they were going to send the county engineers and the county administrators a detailed report on this bill. You don't have that. Have we asked for it? Because that area, and I could be wrong, but because it's been the legislative session since 2021, since I really thought about this bill, and I had some conversations with Melissa at the time, because there were some scary things in it.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Yeah, just scary in the way that if we didn't have a plan, it could really hamper us.
Yeah, well, I think, now this is not any of my business, and I probably shouldn't say it, but I think y'all also need to look closely at the police jurisdiction part of it, but I'm not addressing that because it's not, any of our business at the road department. But I think there's some changes there too, and I don't know what they are, but that is probably something that y'all need to investigate as well. But
I'm sure Alan, as part of his due diligence, will reach out to CCA. Mackenzie, you might know.
that was kind of my thoughts on it too. So.
Me and Mackenzie did some research on this when it came up because of the negative effects that it could have on us, and had some conversations with some of the planning people of the city of Troy.
Yeah, and they have not told me either way, for sure what they want to do. And any message from them will be coming to me through Melissa. But, in general, it's probably a good idea to reduce it to 1.5 miles anyway. Don't know, but anyway, like I said, I didn't even mean to go that far. I just wanted to introduce it to y'all, let you know that we're reviewing it, and hopefully we'll come back to you with some recommendations before the end of the year.
One more comment on, while we're on this, because I know we've talked several times of reviewing our subdivision regulation. This might be something that kind of pushes us a little harder to review and take a look. If we're now going to be dealing in some of the more populated areas and having some, it hadn't affected us as much, but if we take in another mile and a half around that we're in charge of, that may be something we need to look at pretty hard.
Yeah, and there has been some development out in that zone, you know, that outside of the first mile and a half, I guess you'd say. I have another item of new business that just came in today, so it's not on your agenda. That's the, I think everybody's got a copy of it by now. It's the proposed guarantee from the auction company for selling our 2 tracks of dump trucks in the spring. And I think that's a really good guarantee. And so I would recommend that you approve it. And I'm also going to ask you, if you want to approve it, to go ahead and suspend the rules and do it tonight. Time is of the essence. We need to go ahead and get our order in for our 2 new trucks. I think they're, you know, a little behind, so we need to get that order in as fast as we can so that we won't have to give up our trucks before we get new ones. We don't have to happen there where we don't have any trucks.
That would have been my next question. You'll have time to give them in by then.
I think we do right now, and if y'all approve this tonight, I'm gonna give them a PO tomorrow.
Okay.
So we'll, have that secured. And I don't know, I mean, you know, they can't give you a definite date on that. A lot of times it's the company that puts the body on there. You know, we have to buy them separately, the chassis and the body, the dump body.
Yeah.
And so a lot of times, it's that part of it that slows us down. It's not the truck dealer that sells us the chassis, so. Either way, it can be a long process, so we need to go ahead and get it all.
Okay. Well,
Under current business, we finally have the project agreement for the LRSI project, and the resolution for that is in your agenda package. And so we're going to recommend that you go ahead and approve that, and we can get this back to outline. And that's all we have.
question? Comment? Thank you. Yes, sir. D911, Dave.
So I want to let, excuse me, I want to let y'all know, I know Virtual Pike, the website that we have, that has the maps up and everything. I think you're all aware we've had some issues with that vendor. Last week, we purchased some software so we can post that information on our website directly. And we'll set up maybe a separate page on there and be able to host that information, maps, and all that data there separately, and then direct Virtual Pike County, the address. If you go to that, it'll direct to that page on that website directly. That's going to be live, so every time we make a change, if we have an address, anything like that, it'll publish immediately. So we're very excited about that. We're trying to figure out how to work it, but we're very excited about that.
You still have all the features where we, if I'm out on County Road 4417, I go click it, it tells me who my fire protection,
Yep.
all
It's
those
gonna be
things.
everything. It will be much from the demonstrations I've seen of it, and it's just ArcGIS online. And it was time for us to upgrade our ArcGIS software anyways. And so we went that route because it was going to provide us that tool as well as some field tools to be able to collect data directly instead of trying to collect it on paper or on our phones and then bring it back. It'll have all the different data. We can actually get in and decide what it's going to look like and underline data and what the base map looks like and everything like that. It's really good, much better data there. So I'm excited about
usually won't have to have ArcGIS.
Web browser. In addition to that, we're still moving along with the notification system, the Nixle software we talked about the last meeting. Did y'all have any more questions about that that may have come up? And then just to what Russell was saying about the police jurisdictions, if conversations are going on about that, I want to make y'all aware that the police jurisdiction maps, right now, I think we're the ones that have been maintaining, at least for the police department, we have been. It has come to our attention that those are incorrect. We got some calls that were brought to our attention that were on the line there, and started looking at it and saying, hey, that's not possible, that can't flow like that. And looking at histories and changes and stuff were made that should not have been made, and it appears to be a widespread issue. So we're trying to get better. At this point, we're trying to figure out exactly where the city limits are, so that we can populate that data better.
Well, part of that is derived from this map we're talking about too.
Yeah.
Because if I'm looking for police jurisdiction, then I'm going to look at where you say that address, who
Right.
provides that service to that address.
Yes. And so what it looks like is that over time, changes to the police jurisdiction were made based on preference of who responded. And obviously that's not in relation to the way that works at all. So places where the city didn't want to respond, they excluded from their jurisdiction. And I don't think anybody questioned it when it was happening. I don't think it was on purpose, but so now we're trying to go through and redraw those again. And I don't know how that, some of the areas would be taken out and some places would be added in. And I'm not sure how that's, we're going to have to figure out how that interoperates with 2021-297, because if it may be added to it, or, you know, there's going to be some questions that come up about that, so it's going to be a little complicated.
I would be interested in seeing, I don't know, the whole commission and what changed. So if it affects any, I don't know that we're asking for a presentation to the whole commission, but
Yeah.
an email, hey, these areas, here's a pen or check out areas that change. I'm
Yeah.
interested in seeing.
I'm very curious too. Some of the areas are very small, but anytime a police jurisdiction line travels along a road, you know there's a problem, because it should be a circle. So,
Well, there's a bunch of places out where I live that the south side of some roads, everything from that center line south, or that road south, has always been considered the police jurisdiction. But if you turn north off of that road,
right,
the next house up, the intersecting road has always been considered in the SO.
right.
Your police jurisdiction line should exactly mirror your city limits line.
To a degree. So if you've got a straight line, 3 miles out should be a parallel line 3 miles out. If you've got a corner, then you should have a circle that mirrors it, right? So with this new mapping software, we're hoping to be able to, once we get good city limit data, to be able to put the city limits in and say what is within 3 miles and have the software populate all of that, and then create polygons based on the difference.
So my understanding in the past had been, and I know one such road was 1128 and another was 1165, that the PD would respond to calls on those two roads, but they wouldn't go north of those roads into the county.
Yeah.
That they didn't want, if you drew that circle, they didn't want the 3 houses in the center of the road to be in the PD jurisdiction.
That's exactly what we're saying.
And everybody on the ends of the road are in the SO, and then there's some confusion, well, we're not going to call at Chad's house because Chad's in the SO, not the PD, so they made it, they tried to make it an entire road, even though it might not have been a perfect circle.
Right.
But it's so that people had an understanding, if we get a call on 1165, we need to go. If it's above that, it's out of our territory, but that's what that all stemmed back from.
Yeah. Well, and we have the technology, we can set it different for a response plan. So we can have one that is, this is your police jurisdiction, and here's how we're going to respond. We do that with fire departments. So,
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of conversation we had, the legalities of that are different.
Yeah, and that's where, if it was before this act passed, it'd be real simple, we just fix it. Now, with the act, I don't know how that's gonna work out, and it's gonna matter too, who the city has been taxing, because then, if they had the map wrong, and they were taxing based on that, and now we correct the map and add someone or take somebody out, that's the whole, that gets very tricky. So, it should be interesting to see that.
Whatever,
That's it.
thank you.
All right, thanks.
Any commissioner have anything to report this time?
I do.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me get to it, I have a list of things, Mr. Chairman. First thing is, our tenant, as I try to do as often as I can, is the council meeting, City of Brundage, and Councilwoman Margaret Ross wanted to thank us for the assistance that we did with the Mills Creek project. She wanted to make sure that you all know that. Also, Chief Police Sam Green has asked anyone who would help with the donation for a kid a toy for Christmas drive, and that needs to be in by December 6th. We've been asked to participate in the City of Brundage Christmas Parade, which is also on December 6th. And lastly, but not least, the Boys and Girls Club, board meeting that I attended for that, had wanted to ask about their toy drive as well. Anyone that wanted to donate, and that one is before December 10th. So I need to give those out.
Okay,
Thank you, Mr.
thank you. Anybody else?
Yeah,
Yes.
since Shaw Henderson was going to the state playoff in Macon, I'd like for us to recognize that when you come back, not give them money, just show them how they appreciate it, yeah.
Absolutely.
Do a resolution for them.
Absolutely.
We can do that. Jordan, you start on that.
Yeah, hold final ink until.
Yes, Friday night,
Yeah.
They be region,
yeah, or Thursday.
Right.
South region champs or whole state. Either one, they get one, just let.
Yeah.
Yes.
Those were words that. I got one thing.
Yes, sir.
They go shut Troy out. He was there.
Yeah, sure is.
Huh?
Games at 7 o'clock in Auburn, so I'd love to go if I could. Next week is the legislative conference, so I think our the legislative committee's recommendations, if I understand it right, have passed the board, and so that's where the general membership will get a chance to vote on our legislative agenda. I think it was a pretty good one, not too many controversial things this year and that, but anyways, that's next week, I'm not sure. I know several of us are going. There was one other thing that just escaped my mind now. I'll remember
I
later.
think and get it when it gets time and ready to be. Okay, administrative report.
Security services under my report. I believe in your package you've got something, and this is an updated price on for armed security officers. This is based on request from our probate judge, and once the sheriff's department moves out of the courthouse over into the new facility, he has requested that there be armed, because we'll no longer have a sheriff or a deputy presence at the courthouse. And so he's asked that we look at having some armed services in the building, and this is a quote from them. So it is something we'll need to decide on what we need to change and do with the contract. Of course, there'll be security guards at the new facility too, but after talking to the sheriff and some other people over there, we would keep those kind of where they are now. They're not necessarily armed officers that are there at the building because of the deputy presence that will be at that building. So this is just something to think about, and we'll need to consider on having a pretty little price increase on security guards at the
Been at the courthouse now long.
We're not paying for armed officers, that's, I guess, their choice if they're walking in and carrying drugs. I don't know that they all carry drugs.
But they have to have the same training to be able to do that, correct?
Like, one of them, I think, is a retired police
He is.
officer,
Yeah,
and
he
he,
is.
I think, does carry them, but he's not being paid as a, we don't contract him for armed officers at the courthouse currently. And this would be a change in the training and everything that they would receive in order to be armed officers at the courthouse. So that's going to be something we'll need to consider once it gets time to open up the new facility and they move over there. Under current business, I don't have anything on the janitorial services yet. The medical services contract, we are working, Alan's on the way, he got held up, but he's on the way. I sent out a contract, Jordan and I worked on, we got about 5 from all over the state. And we worked on putting together a contract, and we sent that out the Friday before last week to the sheriff, to the jail administrator, and to Pike Internal Medicine, who we've been talking about contracting with. They already see our inmates, but we have to take them there to them. And there's a few questions kind of going back and forth right now between us, but I think we're actually pretty close on an agreement for as far as the contract is. Once we have that agreement, we'll get it sent out to y'all. Probably hopefully be able to try to vote on something. Of course, Alan's included in all of these conversations too. Hopefully we'll have something to maybe get voted on at the next commission meeting
Okay.
on that. I think it's a pretty good, well-rounded contract for something that we've never been involved in before. But we'll have to hear Alan's take on that. He's our man on that, so we'll listen to him. Let's see, I'm gonna work on getting some bylaws from the Pike County Water Board Authority, just so y'all can have a little more information on what those positions are expected to do. And I'll get that sent out to y'all as soon as I can get something. The phone system RFP that we had to resend out, we are actually going to have a question and answer session for any potential bidders this Wednesday. I've got Jerry Spivey with PC Plus, as he's our IT guy for the county. He's coming in to help with answering some of the questions. There was just such a wide range of responses that we got that it just did not work before, so we tried to make it a little bit more exact on what we needed in the phone system. And so they will have a question and answer Wednesday, and we will open the bids next week. So hopefully we'll have something to go on at the next commission meeting for that. The notification system, is there any action that you need from the commission on that?
No.
Okay, then I
If
can
you
remove
wanted to do a
that.
symbolic vote to participate, it's only fine.
I'll just remove that from the agenda. The Forever Wildland Trust, MOU resolution, is already to take action on that. We can go ahead and do that, get that taken care of tonight. And then at the end, we have the Dunn's Voting Center name change. And we need Alan here to tell us
Yes.
exactly what we need to do.
Yeah, I'm not ready on that yet.
Okay, on that. So, but other than that, that's all I have.
Okay, anybody got any questions? Go ahead.
No question, just like that.
Yeah.
I'm good. Oh, right.
Yeah.
There's one more thing.
We just want him to keep us updated on that.
Oh, great.
I'm for you taking off, there's nothing for us to do, but don't let us forget it.
Yeah, so you'll just keep us updated on the notification
Yeah.
system.
Where we
And-
are on getting it out.
Yeah.
And how long do you think it'll be before the GIS system is up and going? And I just asked because we do have
Yeah.
links on our website, and so I want to get that
Yeah.
updated and for us to use. I know I've missed being able to look up, tell somebody who's put there in.
I'm hoping by the end of the year. I would have said every couple of weeks, but I spent about 5 hours today in frustration trying to get it it's completely different than the old one. And it's the same company and everything that we had, it's a completely new program. And a lot of the stuff's not working the same way that it did. Just trying to figure that out. We've got some folks who are gonna help us out with that, so I'll keep you updated as that progresses then.
You want to say something? Last week?
I think that when I saw it, it was in the claims.
Oh,
So I think that handles that, does it not? Okay. Thank you for asking that. I meant to ask y'all, and I forgot. Go ahead.
Okay, all right. I just want to say that I did receive my certificate of completion
Good deal.
from the ACCA for the finance revenue. Actually, this is one we had taken. But I appreciate the support from the commission. The board knows this is the one you had to sit there hours to take. It was really interesting.
All right. Thank you.
thank y'all.
Okay, Pike County Commission work session is now closed, and we will reconvene at 6 p.m. for the regular meeting. They come in, I was waiting. Yeah. No, just, no, that's in the budget. Okay. All right. No, I want to go over it.
Okay, let me ask you.
I don't usually sign that.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. On my,
Executive.
the email